Moreno Valley.
Welcome to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, created and hosted by Scott Knudsen, to explore the crossroads of horses and business. Now here's your host, Scott Knudsen.
Hello and welcome to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen. Whether you're watching our podcast on one of our many platforms or listening to us on the radio in California on our NBC affiliate, KCAA, we appreciate you. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Cowboy Entrepreneur. Today we have part two of a great show. I can't wait for you to meet these guys. You probably watched part one, but if you haven't, you're going to want to do so. So Scott Robison is here and Lane Robison, and Scott is the founder and the CEO of Camp Cowboy, and Lane is the director, and they're doing so much good for first responders and for the military, and also doing such a great job of keeping our cowboy culture alive. So thank y'all both so much. And Scott, let's just jump right back into it. Would you talk a little bit about how the ranch and Camp Cowboy works with the military?
Well, be it that we're near Fort Hood, Texas, and I think Fort Hood's actually getting its name changed pretty soon. I'm not sure the new name, but Fort Hood is the biggest post in the free world. I think might be wrong, but there's 60,000 soldiers that are out there. And if you figure 60,000 soldiers, you got to figure a lot of guys are going to retire, and gals. So this whole community that we're in, that we live in, that the ranch is in, is all military, former military, or family of military. It's basically a huge military community here. Because we're so close to there, most of the people that come through Camp Cowboy are either active duty from Fort Hood, and we have quite a few active duty soldiers. We get a lot from the Temple VA, and now we have a VA clinic in Copper's Cove here. So a lot of people come from the VA here, and then just retirees in the local community. Not everybody. We have some Marines, and we talk about the Marines and their crown eaters, but we do have Marines out here. We have Air Force. We've had all different branches. So, but most of our people are Army.
Man, that's so cool. That's so great that you all work so close with the military and also the veterans, and helping them place people as well, helping people get placement. Also, you said, I believe a branch brings their horses out and rides with y'all. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we have the first Cav horse detachment. So they're an active duty horse division. They still wear the stuff from the old cavalry days. They do a lot of stuff. They ride in parades and rodeos. They're part of the advertising for the Army, but they do a lot of parades. They do ceremonies on Fort Hood. So, if a general's retiring or a colonel's retiring in the Cav, they actually will do the charge, and they put the colonels and generals on the horses. And they're a remarkable group. They do demos every Thursday. So if anybody at Fort Hood wants to see a great demo and watch these guys shoot off their horses and drive the chuck wagons and do bayonets. But Donnie Davis was a former first sergeant there, and now he's a civilian in charge. And we've got a pretty good relationship with them. So a lot of the Camp Cowboy classes, they'll come out and watch and participate. They'll bring their horses out to the ranch, and they'll do their trail rides for the new guys out here. But they've just been a wealth of knowledge. They share their knowledge with us on their horsemanship and with Lane, and it's just been a good symbiotic relationship.
I love that. I've lived around Central Texas, South Texas my whole life. I didn't know they did that on Thursdays. That would be pretty neat to go see for sure.
Yeah, we can get over there and get you the grand tour. They actually make saddles over there. They make boots over there. They have a farrier shop. I was telling you in the last episode, Chris Gregory, Heartland Horseshoe, and he comes down every year and gives their farriers a little, polish up and tune up. Some of the farriers that are active duty have gone through his Heartland Horseshoe school, and the other ones, he'll come down there and give them a little assistance. And he's always an open phone call. If they have a question about a horse that they can't figure out, they'll call old Chris, and he's a wealth of knowledge. He's probably written the best books on horseshoeing that there is out there. So having that kind of person for the Cav and for us, Lane too here. Lane's a horseshoe, international certified horseshoer. And when questions, we call Chris Gregory and say, hey, how can we help? Or how can you help us?
I love that, man. And Lane, talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about the students. So it's a 90-day class, and what's a day like? I know every day is different in our industry, from fixed events to water well gas. But what's a day like for the students?
Oh, just kind of a broad spectrum. Just the whole deal is, day one, here's a four-legged furry animal with hooves, all the way to by the end of this 90 days, I say, hey man, go catch your horse. I'll see you in the arena, and I can kind of kick back and watch them do it. But a typical day is the students show up. They have that little 30-minute just kind of goof around, talk with their fellow students and student instructors and stuff, like we talked about in the last podcast. Following that, they'll feed, clean stalls. We'll figure out which horse we're going to stack them up with for the day. And usually I'll cut them loose with a student instructor, and they'll go and get their horse, groom them out, pick their feet, and then we start in on our our work for the day, whether we're working in the round pen or saddling, whatever it may be.
Wow. So you get the whole thing. When I was there, I was watching them lunge. They were lunging some horses and leading them, and they were I know it was toward the end of the classes, so they were walking with a little authority with the horses. They understood what to do.
Oh, yeah.
And you could see they took a sense of pride in it for sure.
It's really neat. Like there's a few horses that I have that aren't really the most trusting. They're for whatever reason, maybe they're a little skittish, a little spooky. On a cold morning, just don't really want to be caught. And you'll see I'll have a few students each session. Sorry, that for one reason or another they're drawn to them. They're like, well, I'm kind of a little drawn back from other people and other things, and so I'm going to go and I automatically want that horse that's drawn back a little bit. There's a gentleman named Brian Holcomb came through this last class, and we've got a horse named Dirty Lou, well, Palomino filly that just doesn't really like other people or horses for that matter. She's just a little fireball. And Brian took to her and just really, with a horse like that, you've really got to be able to know what's going on with them, but you got to know what's going on with yourself to be able to work around something like that. And so,
right.
Brian was really able to ground himself in order to work with her, and that's kind of what we're looking for with all of our students. He's just one example.
Man, I love that.
All the time.
Well, I love that you have such a string of horses that it fits different people, and sometimes the one-off horses that don't like people, that it helps that person that kind of feels intimidated by that. So I love you sharing that for sure. And so Scott or Lane, whoever wants to answer this, what kind of horses do you look for? Are you mainly using quarter horses, or is it a mix?
No. So the vast majority of what we have out here is quarter horses. Whether it be just different horses that we bought for the ranch for riding, or have my little sister to ride, or for me working cows or anything like that, or horses I've got from Mahan. Just different stuff. Maybe it was a horse that a boarder wanted to get rid of. We've got a pretty wide string of horses, but they're all come back to quarter horses. Over the years, we've had some Pasafinos that have come through, thoroughbreds, Arabs.
And we do have, Danny Caldwell, he have been real good to us over the years. And Danny Caldwell, he's a horse owner. He's up in Oklahoma and is very successful. I think he's the most successful racehorse owner in Oklahoma up at the Remington Park. But him and Toby Keith sign some guitars every year for us. And between those two, they've donated a couple nice thoroughbreds to us that we brought through the camp. And actually, one of them we trained up at the camp and got it pretty gentle. And we're hoping to send that to the horse detachment they actually picked it up last week, and they're taking the horse detachment, and hopefully they'll actually take that and buy that as an Army horse, and that'll help fund one of our next cowboy projects.
Man, that's very cool, man. That's so cool that you got horses going to the military, you got people coming out of the military, and you're just helping on both sides. Yeah, that's really just a neat deal, and for sure. And so when you start a horse, do you have the students there helping you or watching you do that, or what's the process?
Well, so as the students go through, we give them the basic skills to essentially, if they want to have a horse, to be able to go out there and get a horse and take care of it adequately. We teach them nutrition. We teach them all the safety, fundamental horsemanship, all the way through. However, when it comes to starting a horse, in our earlier days, we had a few students we had some students that brought horses in that they wanted to start and work with, and we did that. However, these days, if I'm starting a young horse, it's kind of more of a clinician kind of deal. I go in there and I explain to them what I'm doing. I show them how I'm doing it. Each class you have a wide span of very able-bodied folks from the active duty side to guys who, they got out and they're 100% disabled in terms of what the VA rates them. And so, you kind of got to cater the class to the person. We have kind of a baseline of how we do things. However, it's different for every person. You've got to kind of adjust fire a little bit for everybody.
I got you.
Some people are perfectly comfortable doing stuff, and some of them, they're a little more reserved. So you gotta do some other things with them.
Wow, I love that, man. And Scott, would you mind talking a little bit? I know you have a lot of people coming out there that just want to maybe watch or learn or be a part of, like NFL athletes or Olympians and just different people. Would you talk a little bit about that?
So part of the class is we want to connect with the person, the students, and we want them to show them different outlets. Or, some of the guys, we try to get them jobs when they're done. We have some pretty good, some corporations that have hired people as, marketing people, assistant managers working on ranches and different people. So we've had I've been lucky and blessed to have some friends that played in the NFL and are part of the NFL, and they've come down for the ball, which we'll probably talk about sooner or later, but they'll come down and stay with the Camp Cowboy people, and just to have, former Army or former military guys to be able to sit there and talk to NFL guys, which, believe it or not, there's a lot in common. Guys have had traumatic brain injuries, both from NFL to guys that get blown up in Iraq, so there's a lot of connectivity between the former NFL guys. We've had some Olympic sprinters and trainers and some sports medicine doctors come down here, and it's nice because those guys will pick up their phone and they can call these guys and talk to them if they have questions. We've had a lot of very, very successful businessmen and women come down here, and I like to bring them out to the ranch just to talk to the students and make a liaison. So you never know if the students want to get into some kind of business. All these business people are always opening arms to, hey, how can I help you? How can I get you on the right azimuth to the career you want? So it's neat to have a vast majority of different kind of people that come out here and spend some time with the students.
I love that. So corporate companies can bring like their management team out to maybe just tour it and be a part of it. But what if a company wants to hire someone? Can they call you, or do they call the ranch and say, hey, we'd love to hire a veteran? Who can you refer to us?
Without a doubt, what they can do is, we've had this in the past. They call us up and say, we're looking for this, or we're looking for this type job. And we'll kind of look through our archives of people that have gone through, or people that might be looking for a job, and we just connect them. And we've done that over the past. We've got a lot of people jobs over the years, but we just connect them. So if there's a company that says, hey, I'd like to hire veterans and this is what I'm looking for, then we get with our staff and say, hey, we're looking for somebody that might have a little marketing experience, or might want to get into the marketing, or they might be really good at social media, or might be good at management, or might be good at ranch management, or might be able to go work on a ranch, whatever it may be. We just try to connect them with the right people.
Man, I love that. So if there's a company out there that would like to tour it or even hire somebody, all they have to do is go to campcowboy.org. And also, even if you're not a company and you just want to see more about it, you want to donate, or maybe there's a student you have in mind, just go to campcowboy.org and find out, message them, Scott or Lane or one of the team members, and they'll be happy to help you. And I love that. And, even with the ranching skills, it can still transition into another job. They don't have to work just on a ranch, because it teaches them so much more than just cowboying, which is a lot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for sure. So I can't believe it's already going so fast. So that's the end of the first segment of part 2 with Camp Cowboy. And we'll be right back after these messages.
Scott will be right back with more.
Hi, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, heard on KCAA Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. In the morning, afternoon, and even late in the evening, I enjoy a good cup of coffee almost any time of the day. Now, my team at the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show has been working for several months on creating and introducing our own brand of coffee. We wanted to make sure that we got it just right. We don't want to put our name on anything unless we're 100% certain that it's the best product available, and we've finally done it. We have created a wonderful line of coffees, 13 fantastic flavors offered in whole bean, ground, and K-Cups, any way you like to brew your coffee. Now, each of our coffees carries our brand, the very same brand that we put on our horses, our trailers, and our chabs. So you know that this is a quality product. And we only use 100% Arabica beans, the very best beans available. Just listen to some of these wonderful blends and flavors. Jamaican Me Crazy, Honduran San Marcos, Chocolate Cherry Amaretto, Breakfast Blend, and my very favorite, Haley's Blend. A coffee so good, we named it after my daughter. You can order these coffees today by going online to javacowboy.com. That's javacowboy.com. And if you order today, you can get an extra 10% off your final purchase just by entering the promo code COWBOY on checkout. Remember, that's promo code COWBOY for an extra 10% off. Just go to javacowboy.com to order your coffee today. Hello and welcome back to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen, here with Camp Cowboy. Scott and Lane, appreciate you so much for being on the show and everything you do for first responders in the military and keeping our great Western culture alive. And I can't say how much y'all are dear friends to me. And man, I'd like to talk a little bit about the gala. Y'all have a gala at the end of the year, and it's a celebration of Camp Cowboy and everybody that's been through it. Scott, would you talk a little bit about how that came together and what all is involved?
So we've been doing the gala for about 6 years now. It started out kind of small. We did our local VFWs. We have 2 VFWs that have donated every class and have helped us out over the years. But we started out there, and then we kind of outgrew the VFW, so we moved to a local event in a very large facility. But it's kind of a celebration of the year. We talk about we usually do the graduation of the last class that was the fall class, and then we give our end of year awards, some fantastic awards for the people that participated through the year. We use it as a fundraiser, so a lot of our sponsors have donated some items, safes, guns, ammunition. American Ammunition donated an entire barrel of ammunition this year. We auctioned that off. I think made like $11,000 in one bid. Crazy, but a lot of people bring some interesting items. We auctioned off some guns and some clothing and you name it. I think we had some actors sign some interesting things that we've donated over the years, and George Strait's donated a guitar every year. We've had Toby Keith donated guitar, and Ted Nugent donated a couple guitars and all kinds of stuff. He's a great fan of us, and him and Shemaine. And so we just have some really neat people donate some great things that we auction off, and we do a big dinner there, and we do a dance and do some fantastic awards. So it's a great event. Our next one, I think, will be next December 11th. So anybody who wants to get in can get tickets or buy a table, and it's a fantastic event.
And they can just go to campcowboy.org for that as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome. I love how different, the musicians, entertainers, the NFL get behind your program and hear those stories. What would you mind just giving us, just a fun fact of one of the galas, something that stood out, a story or somebody donated something or?
Well, I'll start off kind of a fun fact, interesting fact. So every year we give what's called the Roy P. Benavides Award. And to me, it's near and dear to my heart. And if everybody knows, Roy P. Benavides was a Congressional Medal of Honor, did some remarkable stuff. I challenge any of you guys to go Google him and look up on YouTube when Ronald Reagan gave him his Congressional Medal of Honor. But his story is probably the most incredible story in the world. And if you backstep a little bit, remember I told you I was at New Mexico Military Institute in the New Mexico Military Institute Mafia. But when I was there in high school, I was voted least likely to go in the military. I cared about sports and I cared about getting good grades, and I didn't have any want to go in the military in college. And I had a instructor at the time was Captain Gilbert Alvarado, who retired Colonel Gilbert Alvarado. But he kept saying, Scott, you need to go in the Army. This is made for you. This is what you need to do. And I'm like, no, the Army's not for me. But he brought Roy P. Benavides to the school to give a speech for our school, and he assigned me as the escort officer for Mr. Benavides, and I toured around the school with him for the weekend. And by the end of the weekend, I wanted to be him. I wanted to be a Green Beret, and that guy made a difference in my life. That kind of starts with make a difference every day, but he changed my whole azimuth. And fast forward, I became a Special Forces Green Beret and went to Ranger School and did all the great things in the military because of that man. Well, when we started Camp Cowboy, I told old Tony Cole, our first director, about what Roy P. Benavides meant to me. And believe it or not, through research, he got me connected with his daughter, Yvonne. And
Wow.
and Miss Benavides, so she lives in El Campo, Texas. And we got connected, and I asked her permission to give an award based on his name every year to the top hand for the camp for the whole year. And it's a prestigious award as Camp Cowboy goes, but it's the student or instructor or anybody that that showed the best qualities, that persevered, that just did the most outstanding leadership for our school. And
Wow.
she allowed us to do that. So every year we give that, and either her or one of her family members comes every year and presents the award. So it's been a full circle back from my early days. But her dad actually made me go in the Army, and we wouldn't have Camp Cowboy if it wasn't for Mr. Roy P. Benavides. So
What a special award, man. I love the circle back to it as well. You know, it helped start it, and now it's encouraging another generation of veterans, and it's because you tether the two, man. That's awesome. I appreciate you telling that story. Lane, would you tell a story about, maybe it's a military veteran, or maybe it's a first responder that came out and all of a sudden there was just a complete life change, and now they're doing just great things and feeling great and healed up.
Well, it's kind of hard to narrow that down because I mean, every class I've got so many
Yeah,
people
there's so
that go.
many.
Oh no, absolutely. I don't know. There's a young gentleman named Mason Heimer that he kind of had a different class than everybody else. He came through, and when he first showed up out here, he didn't really talk to a whole lot of people. You know, super shy, reserved, kept to himself. And then he called me one evening, right at the height of COVID. He said, "Hey, I'm on the way out to class." I said, "Oh, we canceled." He's like, "Well, I'm already out here." I said, "Okay, well, you're getting, Camp Cowboy after hours." And that turned into the whole COVID lockdown. We called it the Corona Crew, and Mason became part of that. A guy who was having some issues dealing with depression and stuff like that. They were gonna tell him to just get locked into his barracks room and just more or less stay in a box for COVID. I don't know if you've ever been locked in a room for very long. It's not very fun.
No.
Not a great deal on your mental health and things like that. So Mason would come out of the ranch every day, practically lived out here with us, and got his own version of Camp Cowboy, so to speak. It was he went through it at an accelerated rate, and in doing that, Mason has kind of come to me. He's one of my best friends in the world now. We got real close through all that. But he said that this program, what we do, had saved his life, and he's super open about it. And so every class that he can be here for, he's here, and just all you have to do is say jump, and he'll say how high. He's completely invested and wants to get back to every student he comes across. And
Wow.
whether
That's so
class,
cool, man. It's so great that you just didn't say it's after hours or we're closed or anything. You're just come on, and you just start a relationship like that. You don't, so to speak, box them out. You leave the gate open.
well, so like this last class, I had a bunch of students who are like, well, what are we going to do for the space between classes? You got pretty much the whole month of December and January, and everybody's used to coming out here and seeing everybody every day. Well, I told the students, I was like, well, we can have a scheduled deal on every Wednesday to come out and meet. I was like, the ranch is always open. I was like, whether I'm here, Dad's here, whoever's here, I was like, there's always somebody here, and y'all are always welcome to come out. Long time before I became director of the program, I think it was one of the students actually of when we were just doing the pilot program when we first started. I woke up to get a cup of water or something when I was in high school, and I look out and there's the lights are on out here at the barn. Oh, what's that? So I just hopped in the buggy, drove out here, and there was one of the students. It was like 3:30 in the morning. He's out here brushing a horse. I was like, "Hey man, what you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I was just having a bad night. I needed to come out here and that's the first time I'd seen that. And then there's another gentleman who'd graduated a couple classes back that he 11, 12 o'clock at night he'd call me and say, "Hey, I'm having a rough time. I'm just gonna go out to the ranch and go pet on some horses." I said, "All right, go ahead." And so even if we're not here, we're not with them. This place that we've built around veterans is a safe haven for them. If they're having a bad deal, rather than going and getting in a bottle or going out and doing something stupid at a bar or whatnot. Like I want to go and cling back to the program. I want to come and hang around horses and countless other program affiliates. They go out and they're doing well on their own, and if they stumble or they're especially when they start doing well, they're like, well, we want to come back and give back to the program. It's kind of like a big magnet. Or for anybody who's around my dad much, we call it the Scotty Vortex. And this place just pulls it back.
It does. It absolutely does, for sure. The Scotty Vortex. I feel it, man. I know it happens because I can see the way people, just react to both of y'all, and to the family and to your wife that works so hard as well, Scott. Would you talk a little bit about how the program's changed? It just keeps getting stronger and better and bigger and a bigger reach. What kind of changes have you seen?
Well, early on, our classes were like 3, 4, 5, and then maybe 6 was a big class. And I think this class, we're up to 20 something or more. So it's grown. But because you don't want to say no, you have people that want to get in, and we're thinking, 10's an ideal for the class, but then all of a sudden more want to get in, and like, we'll make a way. We'll figure out how to get more people in. We have more assistant instructors. We'll rotate horses from day to night, and we find a way to make it happen. But it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We did a really nice a lady by the name of Jackie Bunsey did a 5K run, and we're the sponsor for a 5K run. We actually took a donkey out there and ran the 5K run with some of our students. But so we're getting some other sponsors there. Our local community's kind of getting around us. Our Chamber of Commerce comes out here now. We have a lot of local businesses that want to come out there and take part and see what we're doing out here. The local community, like I said, the VA is expanded now. A lot of the different groups from the VA are coming out here. Fort Hood has what used to be their Warrior Transition Unit. It's, I think, what's the name of it called now? It's called the anyway, but it's the same as the Warrior Transition Unit, but they're bringing their out now. They're active duty soldiers that are kind of in that transition where they're getting out. But this kind of it's growing bigger and bigger. We've actually been approached by a lady by the name of Kathy Cook that was early on. I told you about in Washington State when I was just learning how to ride. She was the horse trainer that lived across the street. She wants to do a Camp Cowboy Washington, and then we've been approached by a couple other people that want to expand other Camp Cowboy. So if we have some horse ranches near military bases or in that military community that want to do that, reach out to us. We'll give you our curriculum. We'll give you everything we can and expand this. We'd like to help other veterans and other communities as well.
Man, I love that. I love that you built something so incredible, both of y'all, and you're willing to share it and help others just because it's going to help others. And that's I think that's why you have the vortex, like you were talking about, Lane. People want to go in and help just because you're helping. And there's no better payback to me that I could see than having someone want to be out there brushing a horse at 3 a.m.
Oh, absolutely. And
yeah,
whether they're brushing a horse at 3 a.m. or they, most of those guys that, I guess my little group of folks, it's not like they call you and say, "Hey, I'm heading out to the ranch." They just show up every day and they get off work and show up and like, "Hey, what are we doing today?" And it's a vast array of whatever laundry list I have from Dad to, all right, we're going to go catch cows, or we're going to go fix fence, or whatever honeydew list I've got going on. There's always something new. And
man, I love that. And you know the men and women that come back to volunteer that's been through the camp, when they're out there again with y'all, they're giving back to the next group, and I think that's such a cool how it just keeps on going down the road. Scott, do you see that a lot? Like when they graduate, they come back and help. Do they realize the impact they have of somebody else? They
I,
live that life.
I think they do. That kind of goes back to what we beat in their heads. Make a difference every day, and
Yeah.
I kind of the handshake agreement early on. I'm like, hey, you're going to go through this program, but I want you to not just in the camp wise, but every day in your life, wake up and say, how can I make a difference in somebody's life? And I think they get that spirit, and as they come through, they want to come back the next class and help somebody else out, and they, the next class after that, and the next class after that, and it's just a neat little community now that they're all giving back, and it just perpetuates itself.
Man, I love it. I know when I was out there, I think you received a phone call from a company looking for somebody, just saying, hey, we need somebody to help fill this role. And do you know anyone that would be a perfect hire for us? And they're just calling, asking your opinion. And you know so many people. It's a great way for businesses to staff up. And especially nowadays when people are looking for help, it's a great way just to go to campcowboy.org and find somebody to help out in a great role.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. So we're coming up on another break, and it's going so fast. I say that every time, but it really is,
Yeah.
But we'll be right back on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show with Camp Cowboy with Scott and Lane.
Thank you for listening to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. Scott will be right back with more. For more information on Scott Knudsen, the Cowboy Entrepreneur, visit us online at cowboyentrepreneur.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, heard on KCAA Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. In the morning, afternoon, and even late in the evening, I enjoy a good cup of coffee almost any time of the day. Now, my team at the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show has been working for several months on creating and introducing our own brand of coffee. We wanted to make sure that we got it just right. We don't want to put our name on anything unless we're 100% certain that it's the best product available, and we've finally done it. We have created a wonderful line of coffees, 13 fantastic flavors offered in whole bean, ground, and K-Cups, any way you like to brew your coffee. Now, each of our coffees carries our brand, the very same brand that we put on our horses, our trailers, and our chaps. So you know that this is a quality product. And we only use 100% Arabica beans, the very best beans available. Just listen to some of these wonderful blends and flavors. Jamaican Me Crazy, Honduran San Marcos, Chocolate Cherry Amaretto, Breakfast Blend, and my very favorite, Haley's Blend. A coffee so good, we named it after my daughter. You can order these coffees today by going online to javacowboy.com. That's javacowboy.com. And if you order today, you can get an extra 10% off your final purchase just by entering the promo code COWBOY on checkout. Remember, that's promo code COWBOY for an extra 10% off. Just go to javacowboy.com to order your coffee today. Hello and welcome back to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show with Scott and Lane Robison. And we're talking about Camp Cowboy and all the great things they're doing for not only the military, but also for first responders. And, I'd like to talk a little bit, Lane, not everyone is a horse person or wants to be. Maybe they like working on a tractor, driving a tractor, or fishing. Would you talk a little bit more about some of the other activities to keep people busy while they're out there?
Yeah, so I've stated this before, but it's Camp Cowboy. It's not Camp Equestrian. So the horses are a huge part of it. Before this became an actual a 501c3, it was on paper. It was just kind of what we were doing out here. There's a gentleman that came out and he wanted to drive a tractor. And then Dad said, hey, go hook up the brush hog and cut him loose in this field. And so I did. And I went back at lunch to go bring him a sandwich and some more waters, and he only got like 2 swaths of this field. This probably already, should have been done. And I was like, you can put it in higher gear. And he was like, I just want to leave it in granny. I'm going to enjoy this. He took like 2 days mowing this field that could be done in a few hours just because he wanted to enjoy it. And we've had countless other folks that, maybe they come out and they just want to go look for arrowheads. They want to go fishing. They, want to learn different things, want to learn how to do the working portion and not necessarily so much the horse portion. They want to learn how to mess with cows or sheep or chickens, or really just be out and be in nature. Be a part of this
I
Western
love
culture
that,
that we
man.
live in.
Well, Lane, when you see somebody come out there and just say if it's a military veteran, he wants to become a plumber, do you really have him work on water lines and different things like that to kind of help gear him toward where he's going, or do you have him do other things to get there?
Well, they try to stay pretty well rounded. If somebody has a set goal that they want to do, through this insane network of people that we have, it's pretty vast. We've
It's
know
so
a lot of
cool.
folks, yeah, and so we try to kind of place them in a good area to learn that trade. However, as they come through the program, we'll have water lines break, we'll have fences break, all sorts of different stuff. So we just try to kind of keep it at a baseline for everybody, especially if they're able-bodied and can do it.
I love that, man. I love that. Well, Scott, would you talk a little bit about if companies want to donate or help out? You have so many incredible volunteers and employees, and how they can have their funds go to either growing the campus or maybe even going to turn one of those volunteers into a paid staff member. There's so many different ways to participate. Would you talk a little bit about that and how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, like I said, if you go to campcowboy.org, but we're always looking for 100% of what we make on that goes to paying the employees. And that's, like I said, Cargill donates a little bit of feed, and the ranch pays for a majority of this stuff. But we'd like to get the employees, or hire a couple more employees and to get bigger staff. What we have and what we make at the ball every year in the company is kind of just getting us scraped along. We're kind of working on fumes, but I'd like to get the staff a workable, a little bit better wages. And I'd like to hire a couple of those volunteers that have been out here for 4 years and give them a little money. And the volunteers that drive farther away, we give a few of them a little bit of gas money here and there just because they drive an hour and a half to come volunteer. But we'd like to be able to give them a little bit more for their time and effort coming out here to reward them a little bit for helping out.
Man, I love that.
And any corporations that have any kind of tack or nutrients for animals or any supplements, would always, we test bed for people all the time. We've had some, a guy, Cowboy Up, has some feed products. We tested out some feed products for him for weight gain for horses. So we're always looking for partners that want to bring their gear to us, whether it's saddle blankets to bridles to halters to bits to you name it. We'd love any kind of partners that have any kind of cowboy wear that we can get out there and test out for them and try out for them or promote for them.
Man, I love that. And plus, it's a write off for the companies. But more importantly, you're doing such good work. It's helping people. And that should be the main reason. But if some companies get behind some of the volunteers and turn them into where they're making a living, or it just makes it better, where they're going to stick and do so much more good for other people, for sure. So what do you see, Lane, as far as the future of your role as the director of Camp Cowboy? What would you like to see as y'all grow and get more vast?
When I first signed on for this, I just freshly come off of working for Larry Mahan and had a pretty new arsenal. A lot of things I learned up there, and so I kind of took the program by storm and completely flipped a few things and really made it kind of a little more rider intensive. And every class as we go through, you'll at the end of class you'll have an after action review with everybody, and some classes we might miss here but hit here, and the next class it's completely the opposite, and you're just kind of adjusting fire at each class you go through. Looking to the future, I'd like to try to get some covered round pins and stuff, so I don't have to take as many like bad weather days and stuff like that. As far as curriculum goes, it's always neat to have clinicians and stuff come out, let the students see somebody else work with horses from a different point of view. As I go through, we've got people from all different backgrounds that help aid in the program, and I tell every one of my students, usually through the first month, I beat this one almost into the ground, but I say, look, there's a million ways to do this. I'm not showing you the way. I'm showing you a way that works for me and works for the program. Can it be done differently? Absolutely. But this is the way I'm showing you. And,
right.
there's a million different ways of doing stuff, a million different training techniques, and some people say it's right, wrong, but everybody kind of getting a collective idea of what it's kind of building their own unique deal, you know.
Well, if it's helping the veteran or the first responder or the horse, it's doing the right thing, you know. So it doesn't matter after that. You know, you're putting them in position to be successful for a lifetime, and that's huge, man. Absolutely. So, Scott, what do you see? I mean, you're so generous with helping other people start Camp Cowboys, and a lot of people that create a curriculum, they don't want to let go of it. But it seems like every single class, y'all are changing it, improving it. And as the classes get larger, you kind of need to. So what do you see for the future of Camp Cowboy, not only where y'all are, but across the country?
Well, I'd love to see it expand. Like I said, anybody who wants to do it at another military post or anywhere near there, I would do whatever I can to help expand it, whether they want to have Camp Cowboy Alabama or Camp Cowboy Washington or wherever. I'd like to facilitate that. I always welcome, you know, we've had a professional barrel racer. We've had some reiner trainers. We've had some clinician guys come in and spend a day or two. Anybody that has any kind of vast background of horses, I don't care if it's English, I'd love for them to come and spend a day, bring their horses and spend it. We have a guest house on the ranch and spend a day at Camp Cowboy and teach us something different. The more we can learn from different people, the better we're going to be and the better our program is going to be. So we always welcome people with different horse backgrounds, whether mounted shooting or ropers or you name it. We've had some roper guys come out and teach a class for the day, and anybody that has some different knowledge, I'd love for them to share their knowledge with us so we can grow and get better.
Man, I love that. So let's, we're getting close to the end of the show. Would Lane, tell us a funny story about a guy getting on the tractor for the first time, or maybe fishing, you know, just going out there and enjoying the country life like we all get to live.
Excavators out of it.
What? Oh, that's actually what I was going into. Well, I don't know. We have a lot of heavy equipment. I guess you say mishaps. You know, usually revolving around Dad. And the summer class or the spring class last year, it was the last day or last week of class, and we're like everybody's pulling out horses. We're getting ready to start going, and I get a phone call from Dad. He goes, "Drop what you're doing, grab chains, come over here. I'm sinking." I'm like, what? I have sunk the excavator. I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? And so I bring the entire class over there, and everybody either rides with me or gets in their vehicles. You know, this is what not to do with heavy equipment, guys. And then we spent the next 2 hours, or trying to pull Dad out. It wound up taking another 2 bulldozers and another excavator, and we wound up getting it out. But all the students kind of jumping in there and learning the correct way to unstick something that Dad stuck, which is he's got a talent for it. Got quite the knack. I've seen.
Well, I think Scott said he's trying to create team building.
That's one way to look at it. I've seen dozers up on the blade, nose down, pull off tracks. If it can be broke or stuck, Dad can do it.
All right, Scott, it's your turn, man.
Man, I don't know. This Camp Cowboy's been great. It's been great for my whole family. I have another son, Landon, and my daughter, Lindsay. They've helped out over the years through that. They're kind of doing their own things, but it's been a family affair. And then, my parents have come out and donated and helped out over the years. And it's just neat having the whole family. And then I have an extended family with all the staff and the friends that have come through Camp Cowboy. So it's kind of a big extended family and extended community. So it's been enriching for me as much as it's been helping other people.
Man, I love it. And at the end of a class, when you do the cattle drive, Lane, what's that like to take the guys? I'm sure they're excited about it, or Scott, either one. At the end of a class, they're looking forward to it. They've done all this hard work and they're getting better. What's it like when it's finally, trail day? You get to take them on a trail ride or push some cows.
When each class is different, we have different things we do. Sometimes it might be cutting cows, other times it's a trail ride. But it's really neat, towards that last couple weeks of class when everybody's kind of on autopilot, it's really neat to sit back and see what you've been able to teach these guys and see how they're taking it and run with it. Some people are still pretty reserved with it, and other folks just take it and absolutely run. I had some students this last class that everything that I was teaching them, they were going home and doing their homework on it and looking up stuff, and so at the end of the class, I mean, they're really rolling and firing on all cylinders, and it's just really neat to see this thing that you can visually see what exactly you taught them and how they're doing it and taking it higher, or whether we go out there and we're working cows, we're going on a trail ride, or different things. I think the first class I taught, one of the neatest things, there's a fellow named Mike Nadeau. He can't really speak too plain, can't really walk very well, but you put the man on a horse and he can get around. And I had my assistant director at the time, Katie Stam. We worked really well together because I'm kind of very go ahead, send it. And she's very reserved and kind of motherish. And so Mike kind of looked at me and said, Lane, And I was like, all right, Mike, let's do it. And so I got Katie's attention and unclipped Mike from a halter, or the horse he was on from the halter. So go ahead, Mike, and let him go chase cows. And you actually can find the video on our Facebook. But a gentleman who'd had a was it a brain aneurysm? I believe is what it was.
Yep.
But yeah, so a guy who can't really walk very well and can't really talk very well, going out there on a dead broke horse and cutting cows, at the end of a class. And that was my first class that I had taught. I've kind of got through the battle rhythm of it these days, and we're really, moving a lot better. But that was a really cool moment for me, seeing Mike out there who rides better than he can walk. It was a really neat deal.
What an incredible story. And Scott, so all the alumni that go through the camp, do you have I know they stay in contact, some come out there, but the list is just getting longer and longer of alumni. How do y'all keep, all of them together? Do y'all have do they get to go to the gala, or how do you stay connected?
A lot of alumni come to the gala, believe it or not. Throughout the year, they come to either every class. Most of the alumni, very few of them, unless they moved away from the area, don't show up. They'll show up at the ranch. They'll show up and participate in the class, or come watch in on the class, or just check in on the ranch. I'll say 99% of them live in the local area, and I see them probably monthly, if not weekly.
That's so awesome.
It's quite neat.
So wonderful. Well, Lane, Scott, thank you so much for everything you do, and for the military and first responders. And please let the volunteers know out there how much it meant to me, the way when my wife and I went out there. We just had a great time. It meant so much. And thank you for what you do. And please, if you're a company looking for veterans, or you want to donate or help out, go to campcowboy.org. And if you have somebody that might be a good student, go to campcowboy.org and get in touch with these wonderful guys, and please get behind Camp Cowboy. And once again, thank you for being on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I appreciate everything you do, and thank you, Scott, for your service.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank y'all for watching the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show.
Thank you to all the great sponsors of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. If you or your business is interested in being a sponsor of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, please call our office at 830-992-1786 or visit our website, cowboyentrepreneur.com.
E-Digits. Lock them in for more information, recreation, and guaranteed fun.